Michael, we're getting close to the end here. Did you want to just give a view with your camera of your facility there? Did you
Oh,
want to do
yeah.
that?
Yeah, let me see if I
Yeah,
can, I'm gonna walk, so I'll take the camera off the little
yeah,
stand
and
and
just
I'll move
walk
around a
around.
little bit. I won't be able
That
to
would be
see
great. That would be
necessarily
great.
what it's doing, but well, maybe I'll see if I can pull this. Oh, shit.
Oh, the cable.
Oh, there it goes. It had to go from being a hard connection to a non-hard connection. Let me see if I can stand back. What's it doing here? Okay. Well, so I have well, so I have 3 in the center. So here's what my room is. Well, here, let me see if I can do this too. I can't see what I'm showing, so I'm just gonna, like this. So I have tracks that I change if I'm gonna change formats. I'm using
Oh, wow.
Neumann 310s in the ceiling speaker. I have them hung from the ISO acoustics isolators. Those things are awesome. And if I can, so now I can see what I'm doing, but they isolate, they are taking the vibrations out of the speaker and not transmitting them down the tracks. So it's just a sharper, clearer feel and image. And especially when you think about things like, ceiling a lot being used for reverb and for sense of space. There are many people who put content up there, and that's even, more stark to hear the differences. But to isolate the speaker vibrations from each other and the track and stuff. And so I do that. I'm using the okay, camera here. Let's try that. Here's everything's backwards on the screen too. It's flipped. So sorry. I'm trying to figure this out as I go. The there's the mastering. There's my LCR. I'm using Focal speakers on the floor, ground level. Goes around. There's all my restoration stuff. ATR is rack mounted, 104, and all the different formats and turntables and DATs and cassettes and stuff like that. And and then here's the rear speakers. And I'm just gonna walk around the room because I can. There's a window because it's this is the first studio I've had that I actually could put a window in. It's up high enough, and I see outside, but the light was too bright to have it up while we were doing this. And then there's the end. So I'm mostly underground. That's how you get out to the other room. I've got a second room over there, and that's more of a production room. And there we go. Does that help, Mark? Am I getting
Yeah,
enough?
no, that's great. Any type of acoustic treatments, special acoustic panels or anything like that?
Absolutely. All right, these panels right here. So I built this room. So of all the facilities I've worked in and rooms I've built and adjusted and stuff like that, the last place I was at before this was Studio C at Fantasy, the old Credence room, and that was after Credence moved out, it was turned to well, here, I'll just show you this. After Credence moved out, it turned into the Foley room for the Saul Zaentz Center. So One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Amadeus and all that stuff, all the Foley was done in that room. Then they shut it down and just let it sit there. I worked there for a number of years until it was just time to move out of that facility. I just couldn't, for other reasons I won't get into. It was time to move on. And then I designed and built this room. This is where the Tech Award nomination came in, was doing this. I worked on, as you said, Bob Levy and then Bob Otis. Bob has been my acoustician, Otis, since well, for 30 years, all but one room. When I was at the plant in Sausalito, when I started that mastering facility, with John Cunaberti, that had somebody else do that. Other than that, Bob Otis has always been my room tuning guy. And so I worked with Bob on this and said, wow, that camera's really weird. Now it did that. As as we built this, all the things that I learned from this that I from all of the rooms that I had worked in. For example, the room at Fantasy was way too big. It was 22 foot ceilings and 29 feet long. It was just, the height was too far. Anyway, so given these dimensions, we dug out the ground to put this studio in and worked with Bob. He ran his numbers about what the dimensions should be, and so before we even did the first shovel, I knew how wide, how tall, how deep this room was going to be. I already had worked on knowing where speakers were going to be, to know also, like this panel right here, is to know where to put the diffusion panels, where first order reflections we're going to deal with. So I'm a fan of, there are kind of two schools of thought of room tuning. I'm a big fan of the room tuning philosophy that says where you put your speakers, where your listening position is, what furniture is in it is 90% of the sound or 85% of the sound of what you're getting. The other is then you deal with first order reflections and diffusion and bass trapping and absorption in ways that you need to. There's another 10% to be able to deal with that. These guys right here, I don't know if it, well, so, I don't know if I can do that. Well, so you see them here. I've got 6 on this side. There's some in the front. There's some in the back behind the wall. The wall in the back has the same panels on it. They're just, the wall is a little bit thicker and the fabric is stretched over it. But in this area right in here, if I back up, does it make it bigger? No. Apple's camera stuff. How do I make this work? Okay. Well, I got it real quick. Oh shit, it just did it. But this whole area around the ear height, standing up and sitting down, is dealing with absorption and diffusion behind those panels, behind the fabric, other than those panels. And then it's more open on the top. And there's, so I'm letting reflections bounce around for a little bit more natural feel. So it feels natural in here. So the tuning aspect of it to me is, I got to be able to hear what I want to hear. Again, making the decisions. I got to, my decisions are based on what I'm hearing. And so nothing got done in here first without determining, the right speaker placement, the right listening position, and then actually tuning the room. The last bit of tuning, the last 5%, Bob uses the Meyer sim system. So we come in and we shoot the room with the sim system and all. And I may have a little bit of EQ on some channels that I use the Meyer CP10s, analog EQs on all the channels to be able to get that last little bit that I can't do with positioning and substances like, diffusion and absorption and stuff. That's my way of doing it. I am running no bass management. I'm not running, everything is run flat. Everything is, I will say, I know that there are reasons for tuning a room to a certain, spec, and there are reasons for not. My reasons for doing it is that I know what this sounds like, and this is what works for me to allow me to make decisions. If somebody needs to be able to tune to a particular curve that they know, and as long as they understand what it is to be able to make those decisions, awesome, more power to you. If you're using software to do it, if you're using the Trinov, or you're using, the whatever happens to be, I know like the GML, or it's not the GML, the Genelec speakers, isn't it called GM something or other? Isn't there, like, there's a name for it?
GLM. Yeah,
GLM. That's why I was close. I knew it was something.
Yeah, that's
not
what
Massenburg.
that's what we use here. That's what we use here.
That's right. I saw your Genelecs around. Exactly right. So, those things are fantastic. There's so many companies that are able to go, that are coming online to help people get a better sound and make better decisions. And if it works for you, fantastic. Did that answer your question, Mark? Did I get there?
Yeah, dude, that was great. I love it.
It really helps with the time align too. That's for sure.
Yeah, and the time alignment is so. So to this, right? These speakers right here. The only thing that I have is these side speakers for me are delayed by almost 2 milliseconds. Like I'm 1.7, I think, something like that. Everything else is exact distance and work. So I'm a fan of purity. I don't want processing. I don't want to listen to math. I want to listen to electrons.
Right.